Alicia, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
It's so exciting to have you here. I could talk to you for hours, so I'll try and rein it in the time. But you are so full of wisdom. You are one of the wisest people I know. So why wouldn't I have you on here? Like, for anyone that doesn't know you, you're a naturopathic doctor. You specialise in women's health and hormones and metabolism. And as your Instagram bio says so beautifully, you help high-performing women lose weight and have infinite energy. But you're also an absolute boss in the business world, aren't you? Really? Don't be modest.
I'm flattered.
I just love watching you just do your thing on Instagram and listen to your talks, because you're like the most motivational person. But what got you into this whole field in the first place? Can we have your story, please?
Oh, totally. My story started when I was really struggling with hormones, with weight gain. I was like the chronic over exerciser, always at CrossFit. We're talking like 2 hours a day, competitive CrossFit. So not just the going for a class. It was like I was training. I was eating paleo. I was doing all the things that were supposed to work in terms of the male body, but was really, really struggling. I was in medical school. I was working part-time. I was really doing all of these things, trying to be a super boss. And that came down on me quite hard. So what I really realized in my early med school days was that there isn't anything really tailored for the female body. It's all nutrition. Health advice is based off of what works for the male's body. And so that really kind of set into my heart. And I was not anyone that wanted to do women's health at all, but I realized there was this huge gap in how women were eating, how they were moving, how they were feeling into their bodies. And I just noticed this big trend in overdoing it, right? Women totally pushing themselves into a masculine model of hustle, go, drive, drive, drive. So I thought, there's something has to give here, something has to change. And I started to do the work on myself to find more calm, more ease, more confidence. I changed my nutrition, my movement, I changed everything. And then that had me creating my programs online and really speaking to women on how they can embody confidence and really truly love themselves and their bodies.
But what was that for you? What was the spark that led you to go, okay, this isn't right? And what led you to knowing that there was something better out there for women?
That was this pull that I had internally to stop doing CrossFit and to go to yoga. And it was this big pull inside of me. And I was so scared. I was like, if I stop CrossFitting, I'm going to balloon. I'm going to turn into like a blowfish and just right up. And so I was really, really nervous. But as I slowly made the transition, like there were months I was doing CrossFit and yoga at the same time. And then eventually I was like, you know what? Let's just lean back and trust. And I did that, and my body changed, my outlook on life changed. Everything kind of fell into place that I just went full speed in this and was like, what is going on here? I did a lot of work on female physiology and research and taking nutrition courses and going next level with women's hormones to really solidify that, like, yes, I'm on the right track here. Something's not aligning in the conventional system, even in the health and wellness space. There's a huge gap in what women actually need that we're not being given.
Yeah, totally. It's weird that there's such a discrepancy between what works and what we think we should be doing. But that is really scary, isn't it? To just go against the grain of what you think you should be doing. I've had clients that, they're training for marathons and they're terrified. I say, just do less, stop running. And they look at me like I have just cursed them. What are you telling me? And yet the weight and everything does come off and they start to feel great. But trusting that, especially if you didn't have anyone guiding you, you just felt this inner voice. Like, that's huge that you went for it.
This inner pull. Yeah, it was just this inner pull of like, I could feel so much better. And knowing that I could feel so much better and say, how can I help other people feel so much better? That's what really drew me to learning all this and discovering all of it and tapping into my intuition and what felt good. Because I think a lot of us ignore that. We read these articles, we're on Google, we're listening to other people talk, and we're like, oh, that's how I'm supposed to do it. And no one's really tapping into, hey, does this actually feel good? Does this work with my body? We're so influenced by everybody else that we ignore our own signals.
Oh my God, yes. I feel like I want to come into that more in a minute because that is huge. But I also do want to know a little bit more. Were you training to be a naturopathic doctor at the time? Were you qualified? Where were you at with your journey and sort of then your experience of training and everything?
At that point, I was in my second year of naturopathic medical school. I went for naturopathic medicine because I had this pull towards conventional medicine not being it. Like I was that person before gluten-free was popular. I was like, everybody needs to be gluten-free. Why are we eating dairy? What is this sugar? Like I was all about that. But I didn't really know that I wanted to go into women's health. So it wasn't until my second year when I felt so stressed and overwhelmed and just like the world was on my shoulders and I had these big goals. Like I had these huge goals for myself. I didn't really know where I wanted to go, but I knew I wanted to be amazing and I wanted to step into my highest potential. And then I also wanted to empower other people too. So it was my second year before I was like, something's going on. And I really didn't dive into women's hormones until my fourth year of school.
And this was school, naturopathic medicine school. So you'd already made that jump and you'd already gone against the grain and been like, I'm going to rebel and go to naturopathic school. Okay. And then it just developed from there. And you were doing the CrossFit kind of side of things around the same time.
You got it. Yeah. I was doing CrossFit while I was at school. I was working as a CrossFit coach while I was at school.
Oh,
and
wow. You really went for it.
I really went for it. And then when I was drawn to yoga, there was this huge problem with me being a CrossFit coach and not CrossFitting, right? The gym owner is very masculine energy. We're like, nope, if you're going to work here, you got to be doing the CrossFit classes. And I was like, but my body wants yoga. Let me go. So it was an issue in falling into that model of, no, you got to do this or you can't make money. And that felt like really tough.
It's amazing, like I said before, that you just honored that and trusted that. And you always are one of these people that you just speak so much about trusting that voice. And I've spoken to you about decisions with work and everything. And you just say, well, how does that feel for you? But how do we ever get into that where we just listen and we trust? How do you strengthen that whole brain intuitive connection?
Totally. This is a great question because I do have a little bit of beef with intuitive eating. I find if our hormones are so messed up and our metabolism is like, way gone, then our body, our cells are going to be like, give me donuts.
Yes.
I want donuts.
Yeah.
So I have some issues when I see intuitive eating in terms of like, are your hormones in check? Is your insulin levels good? Is your cortisol good? If so, then we can start tapping into intuition. But before we get that, your body's going to be screaming for maybe really high sugary carby foods. You might be under eating, you might be overeating, right? You might be over exercising. So your body's not in complete alignment. Once we can get in complete alignment where you're doing stress management, you're sleeping, you're eating well, then I always pull out intuition by really rooting in what the desire is. Like, what does someone truly want? Is it to have healthy relationships? Is it a healthy relationship with your body, with food, with your work? Like, what is it that you truly want? And I like to really paint that picture for a person. Like, what is your goal? Because, your goal might not be to lose weight. You might think that you have to. Maybe your doctor told you to. Maybe your friends told you to, hopefully not, but maybe someone else, societal expectations, has told you need to lose weight. But is that really what you want? So I like to paint the picture for clients, whether it's business goals, whether it's your body goals, what's the desire? And when we can anchor and root into that and we can magnify it, then the aligned action is going to come a lot quicker. So I always do thoughts. What's the feeling associated with that? Is it freedom? Is it abundance? Is it to feel at ease? And then the aligned action will come. If it doesn't, you keep blowing up the goal, tap into the feeling, make it stronger, aligned action. And sometimes you need a little guidance to get there. Like I ask challenging questions to people to really help them navigate that path. But when they can tap into that process, the aligned action comes.
Oh, that's big. And if someone's like, I just don't know, I don't know what my goal is, I don't know what I want, I don't know what I want to feel, where do you go then? Where does anyone start?
If you don't know what you want, I usually get them to flip with what they know they don't like, right? So we are very good as humans at complaining and knowing what we don't want. So when we can figure that out, we just flip it. So for example, you're in a job that's really, really stressful, right? And you're like, I don't feel fulfilled. I don't feel like people respect me. I'm not getting the pay that I want. Then we flip it. I want a job that I'm respected, I get paid well, and brings me financial freedom. Same thing with our body. When you pass by the mirror and you're like, ugh, I hate this.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like pointing out things. This is very like the lack abundance mindset. When you're pointing out things that you absolutely hate, we flip it. So it's not, oh, I want a flatter tummy. It's, I desire to have a lean, healthy body.
Yes.
So we're finding, because it's so easy for us to pick out what we don't like. We'll go there really, really quickly. I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. And when we bring our awareness to those thoughts, we just flip them. What's the opposite? Everything's got polarity. We either want it or we don't want it. So we flip it. That I find helps my clients who, like, women don't know what they want. Women have a hard time based off of what society has told us, expectations of other people. We have a hard time really knowing what we want, like truly our soul wants. We do things to please other people. We do things because we're told we need to do them, societal expectations. So it's definitely a process to wipe that clean and really go into, okay, what lights you up? What makes you feel so unbelievably good?
And what makes you feel so unbelievably good, Alicia? I'm flipping it over to you because that's amazing. But I'm so curious. I'm using this podcast just to find out your inner workings.
My deeper secret. I love that. For me, it's always been freedom. That is something that I've always been tied to, in the freedom to impact as many people as I can, and the freedom to live the life that I want to live. I've always rebelled against anything that's conventional, I'm going to say. I've rebelled against it because I wanted freedom to travel when I want to, freedom to have beautiful experiences, freedom to have amazing relationships, just complete freedom with what I'm doing in my life. So all my decisions are based off of that. The freedom to wear what I want, to feel really good in clothes, to be able to buy clothes that make me feel a certain way, this abundance feeling. So I always based everything off that one word, freedom, and then it translates to my business. It translates to how I feel my body, my relationships, where I can travel. It's always like this expansive, limitless potential.
How on earth did you get into this though? I get that there's a pull. I get that you felt called to do naturopathic medicine and you got called into looking at hormones. But this absolute wisdom that is coming across from you, that I sit and I'm like, I want your mind, just even for a day. I just want it. But where does that come from? Is that something that, are you just blessed with like spirit voices, or is this something that you've learned?
Oh my gosh, I'm going to tell you a deep, dark secret. When I was little, I went to Catholic school, grew up like Catholic, not super religious, but we went to Catholic school, and I was obsessed with Buddhism. I remember being little and going, we did this religion thing where we went to different places, and then when I was engulfed into Buddhism, I was like blown away. And so every year there was like 2 months of a time I'd become obsessed with learning everything I could about the teachings and the mindset and the methodology. I was so into it. There was a point when I was in, I think, grade 8, that I carried around a little Buddha with me. So no voices, but I've always been more spiritually minded towards, I would say Buddhism, but other worldviews, religion, the universe, abundance really draws me in. I was a little kid, like maybe 14, and wanted to meditate. My family does not meditate. There was no talk of meditation anywhere in my life, but I had this thing in my head where I was like, I think when I was little, I had a moment where I went into this deep relaxation state. It was like the meditative state, and just out of nowhere. And I'm like, what is this? and we had dial-up internet. And I remember like searching up mindset things and coming across to meditation, and then finding guided meditations, and then feeling like I had to meditate.
Wow.
So it was very much this like thing that kind of exploded and took me down a rabbit hole, and now continues to take me down a rabbit hole as I get more into energy and how the universe works and how our mindset works and how our feelings work. It's just been like a snowball effect from little Buddha Alicia. I still have little Buddhas all over the place.
Wow. It's so, every second that you were talking, it's like, not only do I feel sometimes we're just so similar, but you also reminded me, I remember being at school, at primary school, and we had a project and we had to build a wheel about the Buddhist wheel because we learned about different religions. And I remember loving that. And I wasn't Catholic, but I'm Jewish. And that is very much like, these are the rules, this is what you believe, and don't tell anyone my dirty secret. But I'm also kind of like, kind of not quite there anymore. And it's one of those religions that has always just seemed very open and nurturing and spiritual, which is what I like. It's that kindness to other people, which just doesn't seem to kind of come from anywhere else. I've got to be careful what I say, but it's really interesting that you say that. And even with the meditation thing, I remember, just got this flash as you were talking, sitting in my cousin's bedroom and going, I've heard that if you can think about nothing, you will become invisible. And I remember sitting there trying to not think of anything to become invisible. And I almost felt like that was my first meditative experience. I mean, not as deep as yours. I was trying to become invisible, but still, it's funny that you can trace certain things back to your childhood experiences. Yeah. And are you still interested in Buddhism, or are you just going more down sort of the spiritual self-growth side of it?
I would say the spiritual self-growth. Like, I think with any religion, you can pull different concepts in. Like, mine is really understanding my mindset and how we work with the quantum field, and how we're all like, all our energy just shifts in and out of each other, really. So I think that's it. I'm not necessarily tied to any religion, I would say, but it is definitely the spiritual aspect on how I can take my learnings and my potential next level and empower other people, because I've always known it's like the mindset and how you're thinking and how you're feeling every day that determines a lot about you as a person and what you're capable of. So I would say it's more the spirituality than tying myself to a specific belief.
And is there anything that you do, or do you have a routine every day that brings you into that? Because it's definitely a practice, having this spirituality. I think it's not something that you think, I'm going to be spiritual, and then that's it, you are. Well, I know for me, it's just a constant practice. So is there anything that you do on a daily basis or weekly basis, monthly basis, yearly basis, that really brings you into that spiritual side of things?
Mm-hmm. The human experience is supposed to feel good. Like, you are supposed to be happy and feel good and passionate and exhilarated with life. You're supposed to feel good. That is my goal. That is the goal I preach to other people, is how can I get you to feel really good, like happy? Because you either are happy or you can be sad, and that's negative feeling emotion. So whenever I'm feeling negative feeling emotions, it's like a warning bell for me that I'm not quite tapped into my desire. So all my spiritual practices, I'm going to say, are based off of how can I feel good when I'm triggered by something, when I hit a limiting belief of like, oh, you can't do that. I do the work to challenge those, because I don't ever want myself, like, we are our own limits always. We stop ourselves from growth. So I do the work that if I run into a limiting belief of like, I can't do this, I'm not capable of that. And the bigger that you grow and the more impact that you make, there's always going to be like challenges that come up. So I will do the work to not push through them, but challenge them, so that I'm not playing small, because I don't want to play small. I want to play big. I want to impact. I want to feel good. So those are things that I'll do as they come up, on like, okay, I'm feeling very stressed. I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling sad. What's going on here? This like a warning bell? How do I tap back into my desire? What do I want? So I live a life of abundance opposed to lack. When I'm in lack, I flip it to abundance. Every day I write out my desires. What do I want? Financial goals, like far-fetched things of multiple properties, being able to travel, going to Bali, Costa Rica again, having property in Costa Rica. Like I write those things down because I want to ground into my why.
Physically write or type?
I write them. I've got like 5 different notebooks at any time in my eyesight.
In what?
In my eyesight. There's like everywhere I go, a notebook will come with me everywhere I go.
Amazing.
So I do the desires.
Yeah. You write them down every morning. Sorry. And then I interrupted you.
That's okay. I write them down and then the feeling attached to them. So it's not just about making money. It's not just about losing weight. It's not just about getting the promotion, having the amazing relationships. It's the feeling that's attached to them. How do you want to feel when you have them? Last year, my goal was really connected, deep relationships with people. It doesn't matter how many friends I have, but the friends that I do have, I'm connected. The women that come into my life, it's a vibe, right? We are now close. So that was a desire that I had last year. And then I attached myself to the feeling of that. How does it feel to have these things? Freedom, abundance, it feels exciting. It feels expansive. So I do that every day. And then I do gratitude and appreciation. Because if we're not, like, it's really important that we are going after goals, especially for high performing women. If we're not anchoring into what we want, we're just meh. Right? So we always are shooting for a goal, but it's also finding deep gratitude and appreciation to where we are right now. So it's living in the land of like, I'm so grateful for everything I have. I also desire X, Y, and Z. And that vibe changes everything. Because if we're like, oh, screw it, my life sucks, I want to do this, there's no gratitude, there's no appreciation. We're essentially blocking the flow of energy. So I find things around me and just, I'm so grateful for this plant. I'm so grateful to be on this podcast. I'm so grateful to know you, right? Yeah, of course. I'm so grateful for these candles. And so I find about 10 things to be grateful and appreciative of, just to ground me into that feeling of like, my life is amazing. It's perfect. I also desire this, but my life right now, it's amazing.
And you do this every morning, you write it physically down. And what happens if your desires are the same and you're like, are they the same every morning or do they change a little bit? They're the same. So you're just anchoring it in.
Yeah, they're the same. I am very clear on what I want, and that took a while. That's going to take a while to know what you want. But then when I'm like on a goal, like a path, that is the goal. So things might come up where no, it really stays the same. And it's like the top 3 to 5 things. There's a financial goal. There's a living arrangement goal. My future goal is a Tesla. I want like a full solar paneled, like environmentally eco-friendly life. So that's more of a long-term goal. And then I'll have like immediate things that I would desire in the near future.
I just want to come and live with you. I want these things too. Do you know what? I was having this chat the other day and I just said, it's not for me. My thoughts of abundance are not just like, I want the shoes, I want the bags. Like I want the environmental stuff, like just like maybe not a Tesla, but just really nice water filters or, like eco-friendly mattresses. I don't know what it is, but just, I'm so with you. But I just want to go back. I'm not sure anyone needed to know that about my filter, but you were saying that if you're feeding into these low vibe states and you decide that you need to do the work, it's an indication you need to do the work. What is that work?
Yeah, one is taking care of human, right? When you're feeling intense emotions, right? I feel things very strongly. Like I ride that emotional wave, like it's quick, but it's very strong. So the first thing is always taking care of human. I don't shut down the feelings. I don't compound them, which is like, I'm mad that I'm mad. I'm angry that like you just like compound the emotion. We don't want to do that. We don't want to judge them. We don't want to push them away. We don't want to try and fix them. So I embrace it. I embrace the emotion and I take care of the human body, whether that is, okay, I need a shower, or for me, it's most likely space. I need to like be alone and not overstimulated by things. So you're taking care of the human body, whatever that is really calling to you to do. It could be screaming, it could be crying, it could be journaling, it could be taking a bath, something that's taking care of the human body as they're feeling these things. We're not blowing up the emotion. We're just letting it ride through us. So I do that. It's really important you're not having conversations when you're in a heightened emotional state. Emotions high, intelligence is low. So when you're fighting with your partner or your boss and you're feeling things deeply, you got to get out. And you can say it politely, like, hey, I definitely want to have this conversation again. Just feeling some feelings right now. I'm going to go deal with them, and let's come back to this. And you do it from a place of calm. So dealing with the human experience, the body, making it feel good. Meditation, visualizations help a lot for me too, and just bringing it back down. And then I flip to the desire. Okay, so I felt anxiety. I'm feeling really stressed. This client said this to me. This happened. I'm letting myself feel it. What do I desire? I desire to impact the world. I desire to have a 90% success rate in our program. I desire to pull in really amazing clients and women that are ready to step into their highest potential. And the flipping of that does wonders. Just being able to pull me from this, like, ooh, I'm scared, I'm small, I'm feeling like really fearful, to, okay, let's root into what I want. Those are some things. If I have to, I do a vaginal meditation where I take those feelings and I drop it up in there, because
I'm sorry, wait, go back. You do a vaginal meditation. You can't just throw that at me and then just skip past it and be like, yeah, just put it right up there. What? Go back. Tell me.
Like, should I talk about this? Here we go.
Yes, this is me. We love talking about vaginas. Tell me how your vagina meditates.
So this would be more like taking care of the human experience. So what I typically do is sit there and just feel into the emotions. We're not justifying them. We're not saying I'm mad because of X. It's just, I am feeling this way. It's also important not to say I am mad. It's I am feeling anger.
Right.
So I'll feel into it and say, like, where is it? Is it settling into my chest? Is it my stomach? Is it my throat? Like, where is it? And then I kind of magnify that feeling and I make it so unbelievably uncomfortable in this visualization. So unbelievably comfortable. I let it explode. It's almost like this balloon. Sometimes I think of it as a balloon. Sometimes it's a swirling. Well, I'll tell you that visualization next. But for the vaginal one, it's like this big cloud that's blowing up. Then I imagine it turning into a light. It could be a bright light. It could be a yellow light sometimes. For me, purple is the color that's really calming. So I'll turn that energy, like I just imagine it turning into this color of light. And then I drop it up in there, because your vagina is very powerful. It houses so much wisdom and it can handle anything. So if I'm feeling things deeply, I'm doing the work to take care of myself, I drop it in there, and I do that as many times as I need so that I go back to a place of calm.
Wait, but what do you mean you drop it in there? You drop what in where?
I like visualize it.
Okay.
So I like imagine the light energy going
up in your vagina. Okay. I love how you're just so casually just saying this, but it's great. Okay, so you imagine this big, huge ball of energy, and what does your vagina do with it?
It just takes it. She is like so powerful, and she can handle anything. And if you're feeling things deeply and you want to calm down, she can take it. She's like she's the universe, is how I imagine a woman's body. That's why we're so powerful as women. So it's this like universal ball of energy that's got your back. And so she helps you.
This is amazing. Do you know what? I had many visions of where this podcast was going to go, but dropping energy bombs into your vagina was not one of them. But it's fantastic.
Wisdom.
I'm going to get off the podcast and go and sit and do this. I'm going to be like, what can I put energetically up my nun? Anyway, that's amazing. How long have you been doing that for?
That I was introduced to maybe a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. I started tapping into feminine energy, womb wisdom, the power of the female, just energetic forces in general. Visualization is really powerful. That's one I do. I do another one, like where our thoughts are swirling smoke and I just blow them away and get to a really clear state. But I find the ones that we connect with feminine energy just to be the most powerful, because our every part of us is very, very I find women to be very magical. We have this like gift, this magnetizing force. So we do want to use that when, let's say, our ego is taking us down the rabbit hole of defeat and insecurity. We tap back into our power source, and that's, I just find it super effective.
You're going to have to talk to me more about this, because this is everything. You are one of the only other people I know that is down this path of feminine energy, and well, combining nutrition and feminine energy. It's something that I'm really passionate about, but it's something that is newly a passion to me. It's not something that I've been exploring for a really long time, but I know that you're well underway with this learning, and you've recommended some great books to me, and it's something that I'm absolutely fascinated with, and I know it's going to be huge in my journey, definitely, and it's something I'm working on. But can you talk to me about this whole feminine energy?
Totally. Yeah. It's big. And why it kind of came into my life was I'm working with high performing women, and I'm seeing them like do the work nutritionally. They're taking the supplements, but there's always something that throws them back off again. So they come off the supplements and now they're back to stress, or life events happen as it does. They take on more stress as we do, right? It's not like our lives are going to calm down. We're not going to the beach to lie there for the rest of our lives. For people that like the drive, they like the impact, they tend to take on more and more. So I'm realizing, like maybe 2 years ago, that the supplements, I can do them. The nutrition plan, sure, we can put them on a solid plan, but there's something missing there in keeping these women calm and confident. There's something not right here. The other thing is I'd have women lose massive amounts of weight. They've got the leanest, fittest bodies I've ever seen, and they're still passing by the mirror and saying, I hate myself. And I'm like, something is really missing here. And that's what dove me into understanding the masculine versus energy, feminine energy model in our society. So I've now called this the queen and the goddess. So the queen is, she's very masculine energy, and the superwoman. There's a trifecta I find to a very aligned, powerful woman. And the queen is like masculine energy. She is structure, she's routine, she's efficiency, she is competition, she's going after that next goal. There's no slowing her down. She's like, let's go. We love the queen. I love my queen side. She keeps me going. She is ambitious. She wants it all, right? But we also have the second persona, which is the goddess. This is what society has shoved down into a deep hole, because we are made to feel that she is weak, she is less than. She is fun and flirty and sexy and playful. She knows she is perfect and valuable and worthy. She is the one that's like outside in the garden, running around with the animals, building the flowers. Like, she is perfection, and she knows she is, right? She just deeply knows she is worthy. We've lost sight of her. She feels things deeply. She's in tune with her emotions. She cares. We have been very much taught growing up that that side of us makes us weak and vulnerable, right? Showing emotions makes us weak. Showing our authentic side makes us weak. So we've shoved her down. I call it, we put her into our prison, wherever that is. We imprison her, and she's like screaming to let her out, and we just don't. So what that's led to is this culture of hustle harder, work harder, you're not good enough, nothing that you do is enough. We've got mom guilt, we've got women hating their bodies, we've got this billion-dollar industry of trying to fix who we are. And so I've noticed that unless we can tap into the energy of the goddess, the queen is running the show. Now she's burnt out. She can't get out of bed. She's exhausted. She's got all sorts of hormonal problems, because the goddess is the feminine side, right? She's the feminine energy. She's the hormone. She's the flow, whereas the queen is the structure. So what I've been working on is getting these high-performing women to find goddess energy throughout the day. It doesn't mean you're less efficient. It maximizes you. So I think of the queen as like, you're living a life half dimmed. You've got a dimming light, it's half dimmed there. You want to reach your full potential, you want to explode, you want to light the whole room up. We need the goddess.
Okay.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. I'm just processing it, but you're spot on. Absolutely spot on. Even in myself, I'm thinking, yeah, like my queen is mostly the one in control here. And yeah, burnout is very real. How do you bring the goddess out of prison? And what can we do to really bring out that goddess side of us on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, totally. There's also, I'll just bring awareness to the third trifecta I found, which is the superwoman.
Yeah.
So she is the one that's flying around the world trying to change everything, right? You were trying to help your kids, help your partner, help you take on more at work. You're like the yes one. You're the one that's flying around the world trying to save the world. So I find women have this trifecta, and it's not as strong as the queen. The queen is like, okay, everybody, you got to get out the door. Let's go. We got 5 minutes. You're like boss mode. Whereas the superwoman, she's just trying to make massive impact in the world. So I find queen is first, superwoman is next. If we've got too much superwoman, we're giving our entire selves to everybody else. We're like, yep, sure, I don't care about my desires. Let's help you. So we become resentful. We become bitter. We feel not appreciated. We feel like we're not doing, like no one really gets us. Superwoman is important too, because if we don't have enough of her, we feel like we're lacking passion and purpose in our life. We love her, but we tend to overdo her. We tend to give the shirt off our backs to serve other people. So what we're really trying to do here is when we bring out the goddess energy, it's finding the play and the fun and the desire in life. It's shifting from doing into being. How can you just be and understand you are perfect and valuable and worthy just being? You could sit on the outside in the grass or the snow or whatever it is, watching the clouds, and you are perfect just as you are. We have a problem that we associate value and worth with doing. So we want to do the work to say, hey, I'm perfect. I can do things. I can be in queen energy for sure. But if I'm in goddess mode, I'm perfect just as I am. I don't need to fix myself. I don't need to change anything about me. I am perfect. I can desire to be leaner and healthier and fitter and more energized, but I'm perfect with who I am. So one of the things that I recommend to people is in moments in their day, can they just go and sit? You don't have to meditate. You don't have to do anything. You can watch your neighbors walk down the street. You can watch the leaves fall off the tree. You can watch the snow melt. But can you shift from doing into being? Just being for 5 minutes. You set a timer and there's nothing to do. You just be. That's one thing that's very powerful. The second one that I recommend is bringing back the sensual side of yourself. So how can you tap into as many senses as possible throughout the day? Candles, essential oils, hand massages, the way that you make coffee, the way that you eat. How can you bring intentionality into it? So for example, when we're making coffee, how does the water feel as it's boiling? You're bringing in the sense of touch. How does it feel, or how does it sound when you pour the water into the cup? How does the coffee smell, like the first smell? How does it taste as it goes into your mouth? So you're taking moments that you're already doing in your day. Because for women that are so far into queen energy, we don't want to keep adding on to their to-do list. That's more masculine energy. It's more queen. We want to shift into being. So moments that you're already doing, when you put on hand lotion, you're being very intentional about that moment. How does it smell? How does it feel? What's all the senses that you can pull into that experience? Things that you're already doing. Showering. Everybody hopefully showers at least once a week, maybe.
At least once a week. Maybe a few more.
Anyway, so you're bringing back the intentionality with with showering. How does the soap feel? How does it smell as you put the shampoo in your hair? So things like this, things that you're already doing, how can you shift that into goddess energy?
It's powerful.
Magic.
It is. And you use that word, and it's something that I keep mentioning a lot recently. And that, you know, even as kids, it's like we appreciated things. We saw the magic and stuff. And I think that has gone. And there's definitely this connection between magic and feminine and bringing that back. Now, I'm going to go for a little bit of a therapy session here. But I often feel torn between this idea that feminine energy is very much about just being and not working. And it's all about caring for others, nurturing others. And it's not about running a business, and it's not about being a boss babe, boss lady, whatever boss person you want to be. It's just about nurturing and family and the home. And that's sort of one side of it. And then I feel like the masculine energy is very much like, run the business, go for your dreams, be career driven. And I often feel like I've almost like lost my identity with this. And this is one of the reasons that I wanted to start this podcast was to kind of explore these issues. And maybe you're going to sum this up for me in one fell swoop and I won't need to do anything else. But I just don't get how we can have both. And I sometimes say, you know, is it a good thing that we had this whole like feminine movement or feminist movement in that women are now like career? Because I feel like you go to school and it's like, you don't have a choice. It's not even, people don't even consider the fact that you could stay at home and be a housewife anymore. It's very much about, you have to go to university, you have to go to college, you have to have a career. And we don't, that's almost made me feel that that's where we've lost our feminine ways. But you're almost here going, no, this is separate. How can we connect the two? And I know you're going to say it's possible, but is it really possible to be feminine and caring and nurturing and take over the world? Because I kind of want to do both, but equally I feel like that's actually going to burn us all out.
Totally. So I see it as not like, it's, to me, it's an energy, it's not a gender thing. So for me, being in feminine energy, like there's a polarity to everything. There's a yin, there's a yang. So you won't just live in feminine energy. You have that balance of masculine to feminine, and you find it flows with different people too. So Kirk, my partner, and I work together. When I'm in masculine energy, I find he flows into feminine. And that doesn't mean he's like girly or like anything like that. It just means his energy is a little bit more soft, nurturing. While I'm running, he's matching that. And then he flips back to masculine energy and I can go into my playful side. So there's always this balance that's happening, because even with feminine energy, if I'm too far into feminine energy, I feel that lack of purpose and passion with my life. I feel that I want to be impacting more. I can feel that like almost like mediocreness that comes. Feminine energy is great. I lead with her always, but I need the queen and the superwoman for me to feel totally aligned with my life. So it really is a balance game. And I always lead with feminine energy in a sense that my desires and what I want and how I want to feel is the most important. The queen supports that. The queen is the act of doing. A lot of times when we talk about motherhood too, mothering is very masculine. Right? It's nagging, do this, like it's getting the systems in place. Even when if someone's a stay-at-home mom and that's your full-time job, you still have that combination of goddess and queen. I find that stay-at-home moms are too far into queen and superwoman. They've lost touch of what feels good to them and what they want. So for me in my business right now, it's very much feminine energy. Goddess is leading the way. The queen and the superwoman supports her.
Right. Yeah. I'm just trying to process this.
It's a lot.
It is. I'm not sure if like the mothering, is that masculine? Like when we're doing it well, I feel like it's the caring, the nurturing, the mothering side of it. Like the caring and the nurturing is very feminine, isn't it?
Totally. So I think of it as like motherhood is very nurturing. Mothering in a sense of like nagging. Like, did you brush your teeth? Pick up the toys. You have to eat this. Hey, you, my partner, go do this and this and this. Someone needs to pick them up at this time. That energy, maybe I shouldn't call it mothering. I'm going to call it like the nagging energy that I find happens when we're trying to make sure everything flows smoothly. We're trying to provide the best life for our kids and for your family. That will sometimes be very nagging based. But when you're like, yeah, how are you feeling? Taking care of your kid, bandaging up a boo-boo, like things like that, like asking them what they want, playing with them, for sure. Motherhood, very feminine. It's just when we go into the nagging energy, the stress and chaos that happens often when we have new children, that is more like, oh, I got to do this, and this, and the list of tasks. I got to clean the house. I got to do the laundry. That can be very nagging based, which is more queen masculine energy.
Love it. The men are the naggers. No, I get it. Do you know what? That has really, really helped put things into perspective, I think. There is still this feeling of being torn though, and feeling like in my head, if I close my eyes and I think about what this feminine energy should be, I think of the red tents. Have you read The Red Tent, the book about the red tent?
No.
Oh, you have to read it. It's amazing. But it's the biblical women that are all standing around and they go into these red tents at the time of their month. And when they're not on their period, they're baking and they're cooking and they're looking after people, and then they go in their period and they go into these red tents, and it's the time for just chilling out and relaxing. And that is what comes to mind when it's feminine, and nothing about that is going and getting a career. But why do we all have this desire now, this generation, to just go get a career? And is that masculine? I don't even know what I'm asking. I just know I need my questions answered.
Well, the cooking, the baking, I think of that as helping women understand nutrition and serving others and helping them live healthier lives. So in my head, I kind of see it as very similar. I'm not doing anyone's laundry or not baking for them, but I'm definitely helping women feel amazing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What about the women that are just like working in marketing or media or advertising, or like that's not in nutrition? Because this is what I'm seeing a lot is, you know, I work with clients with fertility issues. It's a slightly different, I mean, it's hormones, but it's a kind of different client. But a lot of the women that are suffering from fertility issues or period problems, I see them working so hard, and it's that burning out. Is it just that we actually can do all this? We just have to tap into that goddess a little bit more? Because the queen, from everything you're saying, it sounds like the queen has taken over.
Yeah.
But we can essentially bring that energy back and stay calm and have great periods and everything else by tapping into the goddess.
By tapping into the play and the fun and recognizing our boundaries too. So when I find women like my accountants or my lawyers that are working 60, 65 plus hours a week, they're into the queen energy. They're doing so much. They've lost sight of their boundaries. They're waking up and then going to bed, and their only focus is let's hustle. Let's go. There is no play. There is no fun in their life. Not that much, right? Their focus is career advancement, success, let's go. And that's amazing. And I definitely have that as well, but it's all rooted in this desire. What do I want? Where's the fun? Where's the fun? Where's the play? One of my 3 pillars is powerful, playful, intuitive. Those are the 3 things I center my life around. Is how can I feel powerful, both the masculine and feminine energy, the queen, the goddess, the superwoman, but where can I find the play? Where am I dancing? Where am I singing? Where am I like making jokes? That is what I find we lack because we think we need to hustle and fit into the masculine society. We haven't been taught that leaning back is actually more profitable. It makes people happier. Companies tend to do a lot better when we've got a female leadership in goddess energy. People are happier, more profit margins, more impact. So I think that might be the issue, and the hustle, the grind, the force, opposed to leaning back, abundance, letting it flow, ease.
This is doable. How do you tap into those 3 pillars then? How do you become more playful and bring more play into your life? Do you sing and dance every day?
Yes, unstructured movement for sure is really powerful. So even if you're just swaying and you're letting your body release whatever it is, like this, when we have a lot of stress in our life, it almost forms this turtle shell around you. You're like wrapped in bubble wrap where you become emotionally numb and you stop feeling. That's what stress does to us. And so when we can tap into how our body feels and let it move, it's almost like peeling the layers back, like an onion. You're kind of like peeling the layers off. So I recommend to people often find a song, like 3 minutes, something that's resembling your mood of the day. If it was a stressful day, maybe it's like a really rock, like heavy, go hard. Maybe it's if you had maybe like a mellow day, it could be soft music, something sad, but something that it's going to match your vibe and you can let your body move in any way. There's no structure to it. And you're just releasing, almost like you're watching the stress drift off, or you're watching the layers of you drift off. That is huge. I also will play jokes on Kirk like nobody's business, as in like hiding in things and popping out and scaring him.
I feel like Kirk gets the brunt of all of your like ideas and your play. Poor Kirk.
Yes.
So funny. Oh, hello. She's talking. Alexa's talking to us. She doesn't know that one. Where was I going with this? Okay, so you play, you dance. What makes you really happy?
My whole life, like everything. And the thing is, I check in often when I'm not, right? I know that I can do a certain amount of consults a day before I find I'm pushing my barrier. So there's always this internal like warning bell inside of me, like, does this feel good? And I pull it back, because we tend to overdo it. Like, I'm not going to say I don't. I will overdo it. I'll take on too much. I will sign up for too much. I'll take on too many clients. Like, I'll do it. But then there's this awareness, this self-awareness that I have, that like, that doesn't feel good.
Mm.
And I pull back, and I don't judge myself for those decisions. I don't shame myself. I don't beat myself up for it at all. But it's this awareness, like, Alicia, that's not feeling good. You on your phone late at night or in the morning, that's not feeling good. I recently took my emails off my phone. My like Gmail is now off my phone. That feels so good, because me checking it and getting stressed out every hour was not feeling good. So there's this warning bell inside of me to go back to happiness, go back to fun, go back to play. That happens all the time. And if I'm not finding it, I find it. If I'm not feeling passionate or inspired, I live my life so that I do. Whether that's, like, I started horseback riding, whether that's doing a dance class, whether it's reading a book. Like, I always create a life that makes me feel so excited to wake up in the morning, and almost like at night, I'm like, oh, I have to go to bed. I can't wait for the next day. That's how I want to feel every day.
That's amazing. Do you have a routine? I think we started talking about this, and you were saying that you journal, and then we went into vaginal meditation. But is there, other than journaling and the gratitude practice, is there anything that you absolutely have to do, like your non-negotiables for every single day?
The phone is big for me, and making sure that it is not in my sight within the first hour waking, and ideally like an hour or two before I go to sleep. It is very much an addiction, especially when you write, like, your whole business is on your phone. Essentially, for me, my entire business is online. So Kirk will have to take the phone from me and hide it, and I can be very manipulative in getting it back. So he will have to do that, but that is very much a non-negotiable for me. I also practice yoga like 6 days a week. That's one of the boundaries that I have with my life, is I have to practice, and I go for a walk outside nature 30 minutes every day. Those, for me, like, I'm really tight with my boundaries, because I'm not someone that my energy can drain quite quickly, and so I do the work to make sure my boundaries are really tight.
And what's your goal for life other than a Tesla? And I know you're like wanting to get a property in Costa Rica.
Our
What else
goals,
is on your list?
I think for me, it's always financial freedom, and building a business that's really impactful, having multiple businesses that are super impactful. For me, always, it's speaking with what I want to talk about, right? It's not building a business based off what's going to make me money. It's like, what do I want to talk about? Because when I know my soul is lit up and inspired, I am a force. Like, I am unstoppable. So that is always my goal. It's to constantly feel inspired about life and learning new things. I'm all about evolving. And I also want a property in Costa Rica and a eco-friendly farm.
Love it. Actually, before, I know I've got to wrap this up soon, but before you go, I do need to ask you about your Goddess Day. I know you've started doing Goddess Days. Can you just explain what that is, why you do it, and what we can do if we want one ourselves?
Totally. I learned it from one of my mentors who taps into Goddess Day, because when we're hustling, it's hard to find time to do things that we want to do. And I am someone who can work for like weeks and weeks, and I won't take a break. So one of my boundaries now is, this is the day that's about me. Not necessarily doing everything for myself. Like, if you have a family or things, it's still serving them, but it's being very intentional about this day. It's being intentional with the way that I eat. It's with my food. Like, one Goddess Day, I just cleaned my closet out, but I put on music and I created a vibe and an energy with it, and I enjoyed doing it. So it's all about the feeling of that day, and being very intentional with what you're doing, and making sure you're shifting into being overdoing. So it's not like, one day I just created graphics on Canva and I tapped into the creative side, and I put on music and had a coffee and really made it an experience. So that is what the day is about, because the other days we tend to run so fast, and if we let it, the queen will take over. She is very powerful. The goddess, she's just like, whatever, if you want me, I'm here. If you don't, I'm going to play in the forest. So we got to do the work to let her come out, or else the queen and the superwoman, they're going to like overpower her.
And you do this every week, sorry.
Every week is very intentional about the energy. It's like, this is the energy. But then daily I'll have to do it by certain things that I do. Like I have 2 candles going. If you can see, my whole place is filled with plants. I have essential oils around me. So there's little things in the day that I'll do to bring me back to my senses and bring me back to the sensual, playful side. Like before bed, if I have a goal, I'll do like a dance to the goal and I'll rap, and I can be really silly and playful. So that is the daily activities, but once a day, it's like intentional. What do I desire today?
Love this whole chat. It's amazing. Your energy is absolutely contagious.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you, if you had to pick one thing that you can do for your feminine energy or your well-being, or just to up-level your life as a female, what would it be?
One thing. I have so many things. I really think eating would be the best thing that you could do. If you're going to do one thing, it's picking a meal a day and being really intentional with the way that you're eating it. It's going to help your digestion, your hormones, your metabolism, but also feminine energy. So it would be the presentation of the meal, how it looks, how it, like the heat feels or the coldness feel, how it smells, and then how it tastes. Like, and then every bite, you're like so involved with that food. You're not like listening to something else. You're not doing work. It's just like you and that food. It's like it's a vibe.
Having a moment with your food.
Yeah, even if it's a snack. Like I used to do it with ice cream bars. I used to have a dairy-free ice cream bar at the end of the day. And when I ate that, it was like a moment. I was really in the moment of eating this ice cream bar, which you can it can essentially go sexual in nature if someone else is watching you, but you don't care because you are having a sensual moment with that ice cream bar.
Oh, you make me laugh. I want a sensual moment so I'm having a sensual moment with an ice cream bar, and I'm placing energy in my vagina. They're the 2 huge things I'm taking away from this today. Thanks.
What a discussion.
As always. So where can people find you if they want way more than this just little conversation?
Totally. I would say the best place to find me is on Instagram, Dr. Alicia Macpherson. That is where I hang out most. And then I also have a free Facebook group called Fiercely Feminine with Alicia Macpherson. So those are my 2 fave places.
Amazing. This has been such a great chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you.